Hi friends, welcome to WebChamp. In this video, I'm going to discuss how to solve the Python questions. Okay. So here we are going to do the practice on conditional statements. So I have a list of questions. So I will pick one by one and we will see how we can write the Python code for the specific question. Okay. So first question is one very simple question. It is, so you have to write the Python program that checks if a given number is even or odd. Obviously, you need to build the logic. But before building the logic, you must be familiar with operators, and then you can think on this to build the logic. So obviously, what is the even number? You need to think over this. What is the odd number? So obviously, if we divide any number by 2, and if the remainder is 0, so we can say that number is even number. And if the remainder is non-zero, then we can say that number is odd number, right? So this is what the definition. So we have to write this in the Python. Okay. So first of all, you need to have one number. So for example, you can consider any number. N is equal to n is a number, and here you can consider 9. And you have to check whether this number is odd or even. So now if the remainder is 0, if we divide this number by 2, we will say this is even number, right? Meaning the condition comes in a picture, right? There are two possible situations, and when possibility comes in a picture, obviously you are supposed to go and use the conditional statements. So conditional statement is, you can use if else. So if I say if n, but how to get the remainder? So in Python there is a operator called a modulus operator. So you can use that, and you can check whether the result is 0 or not, right? So this is how you can write. So n stands for the number, whatever the number you have. Okay, this is going to divide and return the remainder. Obviously, this is the operator, modulus operator is used to return the remainder, okay, after performing the division. And we are going to divide that number by 2. Okay, whatever will be the result. Okay, so instead of doing this so far, I will show you what will be the result first. So if I go and if I say n mod 2, and I would like to print this, okay. So if I say print, and if I go and if I try to run this code, so here it says remainder is 1, meaning this is not 0. And right, you have to check whether this is equal to 0 or not. That's why I used a double is equal to compare. This is a comparison operator in Python. Okay, now we have a logic, right? We are done with the logic. This is what the logic you are supposed to build. And if this is true, what does this mean? So if the remainder is 0, we can say that the number is even. Okay, if this is not 0, then what will comes in a picture? So obviously else block will comes in a picture, and you have to print, if this is not 0, the number is odd. Number is odd, right? Like this you can build these solutions. Okay, and obviously in companies or in an interview, nobody will go and ask you this kind of questions, but definitely these questions help you to improve your Python skills. This allows you to think over and build the logic, and then by learning this, then only you will be able to go and you will be able to build the logic in real-time projects. So if I say this is fine for me, now if I go and if I run this program, okay, I'm going to run this program, and let me hit the enter button. It says number is odd, right? I will change this to 10. Obviously we know 10 is divisible by 2 and it says number is even. Okay, so this is how we can build the logic. So we are done with the first question's solution. Okay, now next question is, let's say you may want to check in the same way we have a questions. Okay, so obviously I will go and comment out this code because this is not going to help. Even I don't need this. Instead of this, I will change the question here. You have to implement a program that check if a year is leap year or not. So how leap year is defined, right? So if you divide any year by 4 and if the remainder is 0, meaning that year is completely divisible by 4, in that case we will say the year is leap year. So you are good to go ahead and build the solution for this. Now you have a very good idea how to use the that percentile, meaning modulus operator, right? So now, okay, this is what for practice because it is the same kind of question. Now again, next question is very simple question. It is again based on the comparisons. So you have to compare the 3 numbers and you have to define which one is the largest among them. Okay, so how to define that, right? How to define that? So there are multiple ways. It depends. You can use simply if else statement and then you can check whether any number is greater than the about, meaning remaining 2 numbers. In that case, okay, so you will get or you will be able to define. Okay, so we will build the logic that in that way. So I will consider A as my first number, B as my second number, and C as my third number, right? So here we have 3 numbers. And if you want to check, you can use if else statement, but yes. Now here you have to check the 2 conditions on the same line or in the same if conditional statement. So you can do that, but yes, how? So you can say if, and here you have to build the logic. Okay, you are going to check whether A is greater than B, and again you have to check A is greater than C. Okay, right? But how to separate these 2 conditions? So obviously you can go and you can use the logical operators, but what you are looking, whether both the conditions are true, meaning what is your requirement? You need both the conditions are true, must be true or not. Okay, so if you want both the conditions must be true, in that case you can use the AND operator. So in case of Python, you need to write A and D. Ampersand you cannot use here. Okay, so if I go and if I say A is greater than B, and if A is greater than C, obviously I will, what I will say, so I will say print A is, so here I will use A as a variable. I'm going to print the value of that, and then I will say is largest number. Okay, so next is we have to use the same kind of logic for the multiple variables, meaning for B and C also. Now we will go and we will check for B, but here we are supposed to use the ELIF because we are going to give, if the first condition is not true, obviously you are going to specify the another condition with the help of ELIF statement. And here you can write like this: B is greater than A, and if B is greater than C. So if this fails, then Python will come and check for this condition. Otherwise, it will return the result of first condition. Whatever the conditions will be true, it will return the result from that. Okay. So now here again, I will say B is correct. If, let's say, if both the conditions are not true, meaning if A is not greater than A and B, sorry, B and C, B is not greater than A and C, in that case, what will remaining? So only one condition is remaining, one possible situation is remaining. In that situation, we can go and we can use this, and we can directly say, because we need not to see, we need not to check for the any other condition, because if A is not greater than B, if A is not greater than C, if B is not greater than A, B is not greater than C. So in that case, obviously C is the largest number. This is what the third possible situation. So now we will execute this code and let's see what this returns. So 20 is largest number, right? Just go and change the number. So here I will make 45. Okay. And now if I go and if I run this code again, you will see 45 is largest number. How Python is able to, because Python will go through this condition, whatever the condition. So you have to do everything. Okay. Python will only execute. You have to build the logic. You have to write the code accordingly. Okay. So this is what the solution of this question. So next question is this. Build a program that calculates the sum of all even numbers from 1 to 100 or any range. Okay, you can do that, right? But again, the question remains same. We need to use this. We need to do this. All the even numbers, but how you will go? So obviously here you need to use the loop. Okay, and we are not looking into the loop, so we will skip this question. We can build the logic for the another question, because I have to discuss only conditional statements, and in that question I need to use the loops. Okay, so let's see how to create a program to determine if a given number is prime or not. Obviously, you have to check for the prime number, meaning what? Okay, you need to divide that number with all the numbers lesser than that number until 1, and prime number definition is little bit different, meaning if that number is divisible by the number itself or 1, then we will say that number is prime. So we anyhow we need to use the loops for this question also. So that is fine. We will go and we will use the loop. Okay. So now you have to check. Let's say you have a number called 51. Okay, or let's take a sample example of 8. Okay, and you have to see whether this number is prime or not. So obviously, if you divide this, if you try to divide this from 1 to 7, so this number is divisible by 2 and 4. So this number is not prime number. So this is what we have to conclude. So how to build the logic? Okay, so again we need to use the, because you have to you must need a number from the range of 1 to whatever the number we will use here. Okay, so this is what the range you need. So I'm going to use loop here. Even we will attempt the earlier questions also as a next question, because yes, anyhow we need to use the loops. Okay, and our primary interest is to how to build the logic using conditional statement. Okay, so for I in a range of, if I use this, obviously this will goes from 1 to 7, and I would like to check if n is divisible by, completely divisible by, okay, I. So this is what my requirement. So many times it is going to do this. Meaning, because see, if the number is, meaning the loop is going to execute for the 7 times. So obviously this result will change 7 times. This result will change 7 times. So obviously if this is going to change 7 times, and on which result you will go and you will decide, take the decision. Okay. So for that purpose, what we supposed to go and do is we need to create the another variable as a check. Okay. Any name would be fine for this variable. So if I say check is equal to, and then so far I am going to keep this as a blank. Okay. So now what will happen? This will go and this will perform the division and all. And if this is okay, so I'm going to use the conditional statement here to check whether this is equal to 0, meaning this the reminder is 0 or not. If this reminder is 0, okay, somewhere, then we will go and we will update the value of check is equal to prime. Why I'm doing this? Okay, so this is what the syntax I need to follow. I'm going to say, okay, if the reminder is 0, because we are trying to divide this, okay, and if the check get updated by any ways, if I try to divide any number from 1 to the one lesser than that number, okay, so many numbers are there, and if you got somewhere the reminder is 0, that means that number is not prime, right? That means the number is not prime. So on next line, if you have to come out of the loop, and now it's time to check the output. So I will say if check is equal to prime. Okay, I will say prime, okay, or not prime. Okay, whatever is good for you. See, this value can be anything. I can write in the reverse order also. If this is not prime, if this is not prime, we will print or we will conclude that the number is not a prime number. Else, we will conclude number is prime number. Number is prime number. So this is how we can build the logic. Obviously, in single statement, you will not be able to conclude that whether the number is prime or not. So you need to retain the result somewhere in the another variable, and then based on that result or value of that variable, we can conclude, because this is going to happen. Meaning this execution is going to happen for several times, and we need a single value to conclude. That's why we build this kind of mechanism. Now we will go and we will run this program again. And if I come and if I execute it says the number is not prime. Obviously, as I said, 8 number is not prime. Okay, if I use 5, what will happen? So this is a prime number, right? So now you can see that still it is saying the number is not prime, meaning something is there that we are missing. So let me save and re-execute. Okay, still this is saying, meaning this is getting true somewhere. How? Okay, this is fine. The problem is what? Okay, if you look here, any number, if we divide by 1, that is completely divisible. So I should start with 2. Right? This is how small kind of mistakes we do whenever we write the program, and that's why we need to test it. Now, if I go and if I run this, it says number is prime. Obviously, 5 is prime. Okay, so if you go and if you check for the number called 59, I don't think so 59 is divisible by something else, any other number. So you can use 1000 also, and even lakhs number. So Python will do in fraction of second. The calculation number is prime, right? This number is prime, I believe. If I use the 51, okay, now check what it is going to return. So it will return the number is not prime. Okay, so this is how we can conclude the result while calculating the prime numbers or determining whether the number is prime or not. So in that case, what you should do, you should ignore the one, because any number, if we divide by one, the remainder will be always zero, right? Because that is what the mathematics. Now again, one more question that I supposed to attend even because of this is what the question now. Build a program to calculate the sum of all the numbers. So how to calculate the sum of all the numbers in Python from 1 to 100? Okay, so obviously you are going to loop, because if you want to go through the each number from 1 to 100, so you will go and you will use the loop. So I'm going to start the loop directly, because there is no point to store the one number here. Okay, so I will say for range in 100, sorry, not 100 is there, 1 to 100. If I want 100, I supposed to consider 101. Okay, why? Because in Python, upper bound is always ignored, so you should not go and consider here 100, because that will be ignored. And here the logic comes in a picture. Okay, so you have to for every iteration, meaning when I is equal to 1, you need to add that. When I is equal to 2, you need to go and add the I into 1, meaning the 2 into, sorry, 2 and 1. You have to do the summation, but where? So you cannot go and do the inside. Okay, that is not the good choice. So here you need to create the variable called sum, and which is equal to 0. And for every iteration of this loop, we will go and we will update the variable. So if I go and if I say sum is equal to sum plus I, right? So initial value of sum is 0, so that is not going to affect anything, but to initialize the variable, we use this kind of statements. And now if I go and if I simply print the sum, so you will get the sum of n numbers, whatever the number you will use here. Okay, so far. So 5050 is the sum of 1 to 100 number, right? So this is what the solution for this question. Now again, the next question is, you may want to write a program to calculate the factorial of any number. So let's say your number is here. Yan is your number, and I kept that value as a 5. Okay, so what is the factorial? So you any number, if you multiply that number with the all the lesser number than that until the 1, meaning if you do multiply this by in this way by 4, by 3, by 2, up to the 1, you have to go. Okay, don't go for the 0, otherwise your factorial will be always 0. So in this way you have to derive. Okay, so here you need to create a loop, but in the reverse order. So obviously I'm going to specify the steps here. All right, so I will give the starting as a n, and last one is a 0. Okay, because that will be ignored. As an upper bound, 0 will be ignored. Okay, and then step will be -1. Right, so this is how we can do, and then not this much, but yes. So I will say mulch, because we have to do the multiplication here. You cannot use 0 for the multiplication, because we are going to multiply, and I'm for every iteration I'm going to update the value of mulch. So if I say mulch is equal to mulch stands for multiplication I. Okay, Zero will not come in a picture because this is at a upper bound, and the upper bound will not be considered in a Python. So you will get the result of what you want. And if I say print, so as I know, factorial of 5 is 120. Okay, it's not like that you can write multi, you can write factor, anything is good for you. And if I go and if I run this, so it is returning me 120. Let's take a factorial of 10. Okay. So this will go and this will give the product of 1 to 10 numbers. So this is what the number. Factorials are very much bigger. Right. So this is how you can build the logic to calculate the factorials. Then now we will go ahead because we have started with the loops questions. So we will solve few questions on the for loop. We have seen how to use the loop and all. Okay, so now the question is, write a program that calculates the sum of all even numbers from 1 to 100 using for loop. Okay, so before that we have seen how to take the sum of all the numbers, not even only. So you can practice this question. So you just try this question and let me know in comment if you are not able to solve this, or you may needs to build the logic on this. I will give you the code. Okay, so because this is very much simple. Even the next question is how to build the Fibonacci series. Okay. Even this is what the little bit challenging questions people may face uh, this. Okay, so write a Python script to print the Fibonacci sequence up to the nth term using for loop. Okay, so let's see how we can do this. So before that, we will go and we will understand what is the Fibonacci series. Okay, so if I go and if I was even if the sequence is like 0 and then 1 1 then 2 2 2, so many times the number you have to repeat. But let's see how the series gets created first, meaning what is the Fibonacci series. First we will understand that, and then we will start on that, how to write a Python code for that. Okay, so Fibonacci series is the series, okay, of number. Let's say you have a first number as a 0 and second number as a 1. Then next number will be the sum of previous two numbers. Sum of previous two numbers, which is equal to 1. Okay, but next will be the sum of previous two numbers, meaning 1 plus 1, 2. Next will be the sum of two numbers, meaning 1 plus 2 will be 3. Then 2 plus 3, 5. So this kind of series, 3 plus 5, 8. So this kind of series, and then 8 plus 5, 13. Okay, this series is nothing but Fibonacci series. The numbers, next number, which is the sum of previous two number. Okay, this is what the logic you have to build, right? With the help of Python, you have to print that. Yes, that is even possible, but let's see how we can do that. So let me clear my screen first. Clear all my drawings. Let me bring back. And if I use the eraser, okay, fine. So here, first you need a starting number. So obviously your number is n1. N1 is equal to, you will start with the 0 or 1. Also, obviously we will start with the 0. Okay, that is fine. Then n2 is equal to, if I say 1, this is what my starting two numbers, n1 and n2. So obviously next number will be the sum of, right? Next number will be the sum of these two numbers. So I will, before that, how many terms? Here we defined n the term. So n is equal to, I will consider how many numbers we want. So I will say, for example, I will say 10 as my nth term. Okay, we can change this. So many numbers you will get from that sequence. So we have two numbers, that is fine. Okay, we have two numbers, that is fine. So next is, you need a next number. Obviously, we need a next number. So what you will do? So here I will say next number is equal to next underscore num is equal to 1 or n1 plus n2. This is what my logic, right? This is what my logic. Now we have to start the loop, because how the number, meaning we have to reach until this point, these many times calculation we have to perform. This is going to return us the first and second value. First and second value. So what I will do, I will go and I will create a loop for nth term, because for I in n is equal to, sorry, for I in a range of, not in, we can do that, is not a collection. So I will say 0, meaning from n1 till we have to go n. Okay, this is what my loop. Now you have the logic that how to do that. So you wanted to print the next number, right? But before that, you need to print first number, because series start with 0. So what we will do, okay, so we will say if, but we need another, meaning if, what will be the 0, right? If I will say I is equal to 0, is equal to 0. So is equal to 0. In that case, we go and we should print n1. Okay. And if this is not equal to 0, then we should do something else, like the next number, right? So I will say else, see, there are many ways to build this logic. If I say next number, right? So I am going to print the next number. Now how next number will be derived? How next number will be derived? How this value will come? So obviously, for every iteration, meaning for first iteration, it will be 0. But if it is 1, right? If it is 1, then what we should go and we should do? So we need to build the logic in another way, that we have to update this number for every iteration with the previous two numbers. So n1 is 0 here, that is fine. Right? So if I go and for each of the iteration, okay, if I say next number, and at very first place I will say this is equal to 0. Okay, because we have to do the summation. Okay, and then once this is done, we need to update this, right? We need to update this. So if I say next number, because next number is equal to n2. So obviously what I am going to consider here, because I am going to think in a different way. So n1 is equal to 0, we will print n1. But what will be the next number? So obviously next number is equal to n2. After the 0, n2 will comes in a picture. But we will go and we will update the n2 here. Okay, we will update the once we print the next number. So what we will do, we will update, we will print n1 is equal to n1 is equal to n2, meaning on next line it will be in2 n1 is equal to n2. And again we have to do one more assignment here. So n2 is equal to, even we need to update the n2 also. On the same line we can update the n2. So I will say next number. Okay, so what will happen here? So n1 will be, meaning n1 will be 1. So if 1 will comes here, and again we need to take the sum of two previous numbers. So n2 will be next number. So what will be the n2? Then we should go and we should write like this, right? So we are going to update the n1 and n2 here. It is fine. n2 and n1. So n2 will be the next number. Obviously n2 will be the next number. And then going forward, meaning so far iterations, it will go and it will update. But I think, okay, let's see what it is going to do. So if I say print, I don't need to print because it is going to print. Now let's try the output, how this is going to work, and then we need to modify. Obviously in one go. So it is printing 1 1 1 1 1. What is happening? 1 is meaning the sum of this, right? So we are not updating the next number, we are updating the n2, and this will remain same. So n2 is equal to next number, but next number, where to update the next number? Okay, this is fine. If I write like this, then n2 will comes, n2 will get updated, and then n2 will comes here. But then we need to print next number, even that is fine. Next number will be, okay, like this. Should I go and write like this? Okay. We are not updating the next number every time. Obviously, we need to update the next number. So I will say next number here. Right. Once we do the assignment, I'm going to update the next number as a n1 plus n2. n1 plus n2. Okay, this is fine. If I'm doing n1 plus n2 here, so these two numbers will get added, updated, then it will come and it will print the next number. That is fine. For the initial purpose, we did this assignment. Okay, now let's go and see the output. Okay, yes, so we are getting the Fibonacci series here. As I said, 1 plus, meaning the sum of first two numbers will be the third number. Okay, but not in that way. It is doing, but it is not printing the 1 1 twice. Okay, otherwise, or next or not, this is 3 5 8 13. Okay, that is fine. So we are printing n1 is nothing but 0, but we are here, we have a next number as a 1, right? It is printing 1. And then it should go and update the next number as a 1, and that it should come here. And this is what not, because we are updating the n1 n2 here, and that's why. That's the reason. This is what the happening, but it is fine. Okay, so if you look at the sequence, okay, so if you look at the sequence, that 55 is the sum of 34 plus 21, 21 is the sum of 13 plus 8, 5 is the sum of 2 plus 3. Okay, so this is what the example of Fibonacci series. Okay, so if you want to print the N1 and N2 together at very first place, we can write like this also, because this is going to happen only once, because I is equal to 0 will be only once, right? And then if you write, or if you want a series of 50 numbers, you will get those many numbers. Once you are ready with the logic, you just have to change the number. And this is what the Fibonacci series. Okay, even if you look, this 55 plus 89 is 144, 233 is derived from some of these two numbers. So every time this is going to happen. Okay, and this is what the exact Fibonacci series that we are looking for. Right. Meaning here it is, here we are getting this first two number sum is as next number, then next two number sum is as the next number, then the two numbers sum, previous two numbers sum as the next number. Okay, and this is what the Fibonacci series in mathematics. So we are done with the logic part. So obviously what I did here, I tried to assign the variables, update the variables on the same line, on the same line, because we can do that. Python allows this kind of syntax, and this will definitely help, because if we try to go and update the values, even you can write this N2 is equal to next number on next line, even that is going to work, but we can write like this. Okay, to reduce the number of lines in Python, that is not a concern. So this is about the Fibonacci series, how to create the Fibonacci series. Okay, you can, for practice purpose, you can try to build the logic, same logic I did here with the help of for loop. You can use the while loop also. And if you are able to build this kind of solutions, definitely you will be able to build the solutions in your organizations also. You will be able to use the conditional statements and loops in your real-time problems. But yes, for practice purpose, these kinds of questions you need to solve. Okay. I hope you like the content of this video. Thank you so much for watching the video. Have a nice day. Please do not forget to subscribe the web champ, and do not forget to share this video with your friends.